Warren Buffett has made some changes to his Berkshire portfolio and it has caught the attention of investors. In addition to this, we are seeing institutions looking at the market froth and attempting to squeeze as much gains as possible out of it. While institutions believe that markets are overvalued, they believe the Fed will support it should any issues arise. No worries, right? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to look at what Warren Buffett has done. To start off this video, I'll show you exactly what you need to know. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you the actual video that I did previously, which breaks down exactly how to find not just Warren Buffett, not just Berkshire Hathaway, but any institution, any big name that you've heard of. You want to see what they've been doing, you want to see how their buys, their sells, I'll give you the exact download on that. So you can go to the end of this video to catch that. But let's talk about Warren Buffett. Then we're going to look at what's going on with other institutions. I pulled up the fund manager survey so that you can see this for yourself. This gives you some insight as to what's going on in the institutional level. We are also going to talk about other things. I don't have that much time, so let's go. You're going to see these articles popping up everywhere, and they're talking about Warren Buffett. Whenever there are changes, whenever the 13F gets posted, all of the websites start talking about it, all the institutions start talking about it, because clearly he has had so much success over the period of time, over decades and decades. Any changes that are made, they're watching. Warren Buffett buys telecom, drug maker stocks, Apple stake cut. You could look here at the articles, but never do this, in my opinion. If you want to actually know what's going on, don't just take it from the articles, because they're only going to give you a snippet. They're only going to look at what they believe is the most important, or maybe they're not allowed to talk about certain things. I'm going to show you right now how to look at this specifically. First, I wanted to highlight this. Warren Buffett just scored an unexpected $1.4 billion, and he's about to disclose another mystery investment soon. So I don't have that information for you today in this video, but look for a follow-up video on that mystery investment soon enough. Anytime you want to see what's going on with one of these companies, you've got to look in the SEC's actual report, because in here, you're going to find the information that is undisputed. This is what they file. They are forced to file. All of this information is public. You don't go to the articles. You don't try and ask, some, Reddit board or something like this. You're never going to get the full picture. Now, the SEC document, as you can see, it's long, it's heavy, it is very difficult to look through. So there's another way to do that. And you can go to some websites like this one I have pulled up here. Again, if you want to get the full download and explanation and the exact links on all of that, you can do so at the end of this video. I'll put it there. But let's look through it right now. Berkshire Hathaway. I want to note a few things because I always have these comments every single time I do a video about this. You look at the actual source date and then the date reported. Source date is showing us as of the end of 2020. And people will say, look, we're already a month and a half away from that. You're not showing the newest information, but that's not how it works. Because as you can see right here, date reported is in fact February 16th. This is brand new information. You don't get it day by day. Some would say, how is this relevant to me if it's not day by day? Well, you're not going to find out what he traded that morning and buy it in the afternoon. It doesn't work like that. You need to know the changes that he's making and understand if he's cutting his stake in something, maybe he's willing to take some of the profits, or maybe he's starting to see that there's a little bit of froth there. You never actually know what's going on in the mentality of another investor, but we can see some trends. And if there are others who start to follow suit, other big names, then it starts to make a lot of sense. Now, I just, really organized this, sorted by the change in shares, as you can see right here. And this just gives you some examples of where the money has moved out of in this particular portfolio. And we've got some of the banks in this case here, Wells Fargo, Apple, and one that I wanted to mention. Well, let's look at Apple first. You could see right here, this is 6% down. They cut their stake by 6%, but understand that they're holding onto a massive, absolutely massive position. In fact, Apple is the biggest stock in their portfolio. And you could see right here, it is over $100 billion worth. So it's a massive stake. You know that. And this just gives us some insight as to what they've been doing. Did they want to take a little bit of profits, or did they see it as the peak? Nobody really knows. Going down one further, it's interesting to see gold. Barrick Gold happens to be something that they cut 100% of their stake at this time. And we can see what would happen, in future months. Do they decide to buy it back? Does he believe that that was it? That was the run? Who really knows again? And going down further and further, you will see other names, several companies, the financial companies in here. This has been a trend. That's what I wanted to note, is that clearly he's been getting rid of, or I should say Berkshire Hathaway, because it's not just Warren Buffett, of course. Charlie Munger obviously having a big impact there. You could see that the financials, they've been getting pushed off. A lot of these companies, whether it has been Wells Fargo or JP Morgan and so on, these are getting booted off of the portfolio. There's clearly no doubt about that. Now, there are many other companies in here. If you want to check this out for yourself, I don't want to read the whole thing to you, but I just believe it's important to look at not just Warren Buffett, but all of the other big institutional investors, the ones with the big names, and seeing how that impacts other investors as well. And that brings me to this. We're talking about the devaluation of currencies, and I know I've seen many comments about it before, and it's a reality. If you devalue a currency, if you print money, investors, or really anybody, will start to put their hands onto anything that is real or what will hold value or potentially increase in price. And this is what's happening in basically everything today. You look at real estate, you look at cryptos, you look at stocks, you look at it all across the board, and everything is rising. This article talks, actually, I don't agree with a lot of what the article said, but they did put this point here that I wanted to share with you, and it's regarding Bitcoin, and that will lead into the next part here, because we're looking at this article out of the Financial Times and seeing what they have been doing. Bitcoin's rise reflects the belief in some parts of the investor community that the US will eventually come in some ways to resemble Weimar Germany, as post-2008 financial crisis monetary policy designed to stabilize the market gives way to monetization of rising US debt loads. There are, after all, only 3 ways out of debt. Check this out: growth, austerity, or money printing. Could be a combination of both. If the US government sells so much debt that the dollar starts to lose value, then Bitcoin could conceivably be a safe haven. That's the point they make. I'm not necessarily agreeing with that, but it is interesting that we are seeing money being put anywhere and everywhere simply because the dollar has been declining. And you look at that in different ways. You look at it declining as a measurement of, between other currencies, but you also look at it in real terms against real goods, in whether that's food and so on. And I'll show you some of that right now. There are signs that food inflation has gripped the world. Over the past year, it has raised prices of everything from shredded cheese to peanut butter, and it's about to get worse. Of course, we've had the upending of the food supply chains, paralyzing shipping, sickening workers that kept the world fed, and ultimately raising consumer grocery costs around the globe last year, something that we've been talking about, of course, the whole time. And this affects, the reason I mention this is because, a lot of people, as I've said many times before, if they're making $250,000 a year and their groceries increase by 20%, it's not really a big deal. It's not nice to pay more for anything, of course, but they can handle it. However, if you're making 30 grand, it certainly becomes a big issue. All right, now look at this. Farmers, especially ones raising cattle, And hogs and poultry are getting squeezed by the highest corn and soybean prices in 7 years. It's lifted the costs of their feeding their herds by 30% or more. To stay profitable, producers including Tyson are increasing prices, which will ripple through the supply chains and show up in the coming months as higher price tags for beef, pork, and chicken around the world are already really taking place. And they mention it at the bottom. Feed price, and this is something I want to interject here. This is something that I see because I talk about food inflation and people will say, well, hey, it's wintertime. In the wintertime, food prices go up. You're a fearmonger. But that's not what's happening here. This is not at all what's going on. And this has been going on for a long time. And it wasn't just the issue in 2020. You have to see it over a period. You know that the prices people pay, forget about the commodities and the futures and everything. The prices people pay at the store, gram to gram or pound to pound, however you want to do it, are increasing. Yeah, you got a bag of chips here, and let's just use, all right, it's a package of Lay's chips, okay? And, once upon a time, that bag used to be filled with chips, and now today I don't even remember the last time I had chips, but it was about halfway. I'm sure this is down to about a quarter of the way of actual chips in here. And the fact remains is that there's this thing called shrinkflation. And we have discussed this before, you and I know if you've been on this channel a while. You get a container of whatever it is. It used to be 500 milliliters. It used to be, whatever the container is. And now it's, let's say, 400 milliliters. It's always shrinking. And they're putting less into everything. And that's how they can keep the price at the same level, or they simply cut the quality. Yeah, you're able to get that whatever it is, but half of it is filler. It's garbage. They're serving garbage to people right now. If the food that you're buying hasn't increased in price, very, very likely that the food quality itself has declined significantly. Feed prices go up and down, and you tend to take the rough with the smooth. But when it rallies as much as it has, it starts to impact massively on the business. And that's a simple matter of fact. Let's move on. Interconnected with that, you could see this, Kraft Heinz and Conagra may raise some product prices as grains and edible oil costs surge. What do you think happens if the companies suddenly have to pay more for their product? Did they just take a cut on their corporate profits? Do you think that's going to actually happen? I've seen people that have commented that many times before. I've seen the articles written about it. I've seen people in the industry not factoring this in. Of course, they're going to pass it on to the customers. They're not going to take a hit. Maybe they'll take a bit for a period of time. They don't want to have much disruption, but if it continues on, they simply increase the price. And do you know when they decrease the price? Oh, that's right, never. I could go on forever and ever. I had literally 10 more tabs, but I think we've had enough here. I've been going on so long in these videos. Want to keep them as short as possible, even though obviously I went on too long again. That's enough for this one. If you found it informative, hit that thumbs up button. If you want to support me, I just want to say that anybody who's watching ads on different videos, that's how you support the creator. The ads support the creator. I know it's not fun, obviously, but that is a way that you don't have to give any money. You don't have to actually donate anything. Though, by the way, I do appreciate every single donation that comes my way. I don't say it enough. I don't thank everyone enough, but I really honestly do appreciate every single dollar. It really warms my heart. But anyway, the point is, if you don't want to donate any cash, any crypto, whatever it might be, then literally just allowing the ads to play supports creators. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you very much. If you want to learn about e-commerce, I created this course specifically for people to learn for free so that they wouldn't have to go around clicking all over the place and getting fed up. They could actually learn for free, the AmazonGPS.com. If you want to understand the financial system from top to bottom, A to Z, everything you need to know in these two books, check them out at the link in the description. And if you want the audiobook instead, you can get that at themoneygps.com. This video is so key. It's so important. I hope if you haven't watched it already that you will. Check it out. I'll see you there.